everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, morning, morning.
Good morning, good morning.
All right, we'll keep adding people. Thank you all for joining us today. You only have to listen to me for a little bit. We have a much better speaker for you and Dr. Lou Strickland to handle today. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Okay. Well, after we get started, just like last time, I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody. And I'm also going to ask all of you, if you don't mind, to go ahead and stop sharing your video. Anytime we have the video going, it increases the bandwidth that we need to stream this either right now or to post it later on. So if y'all could do that, I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Looks like most of you did. So some quick housekeeping before we get started. This is our second in the weekly Webinar Wednesday series, and each one is going to be roughly an hour, and we'll be having 3 webinars equal to 1 Master Dairy in-person meeting, simply because an in-person meeting is 3 hours of credit, and each one of these are 1 hour, so 1 + 1 + 1 = 3, and that's why we need 3 hours. I need y'all to fill out the completion form to receive credit. There are a lot of y'all online, which is amazing, but just to make sure we get everybody who wants to receive Master Dairy credit, please follow the link http://tiny.utk.edu/tmdp_ and the word form to get credit for this meeting. For my agents watching for in-service, if you were unable to register before the meeting, just fill out that thing as well and let me know that you would like in-service credit for this. And just put the word agent after your name, although I know most of you would recognize those UTK email addresses. And John Tillman and I will work together to get that sorted out. We are going to put these recordings in Kate for any agents who are not able to join us today to go back and record later for in-service credit. Any dairy producers who aren't able to join us today, we'll be posting these to our YouTube channel as soon as we get them done. So it'll probably be posted later tonight. And you get credit the same way. Just go to the online form and fill it out to let me know that you did it. I did have one question this morning about the Paycheck Protection Program. If any of y'all are thinking about doing that program, or if any of you agents are getting questions about the PPP. The question was, all right, I filled out the 2-page, now what do I do with it? Anyone who is FDIC accredited, so your local lender, Ag Credit, anyone like that can process that PPP request for you. So if you're not sure who to go to, just go to your local guy and give them that form and they should be able to help you through the process. You do not need to be previously turned down to be able to use PPP. You also do not need to put up a personal guarantee or liability or collateral of any kind. So just fill out that 2-pager, talk to your local lender, and keep on rocking.
Hey, Liz.
Yes, David.
Also, it'd be good to get in touch with your accountant, tax preparer, because they're going to have some information that you need to go to your bank. And it sort of depends if that bank has been previously approved through the SBA loans. So you need to check with that as well. But it shouldn't be too much of an issue. We've had some dairy producers receive money, so we do know that they are getting approved for farms. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, perfect. All right, any questions about that before I turn it over to Lou? While David's on the phone call and can answer them as well.
Time, time is of the essence on that, because I understand they probably will run out of money, and don't think you're too small, because I know a couple that have gotten it that were not big, huge operations. So.
Yep, it is intended to help small businesses. So anybody with less than 500 employees or someone who is a sole proprietor or self-employed, those funds are for you.
Liz, I just saw on RFD that that budget for that PPP is expected to run out by Friday.
Yep.
So time is definitely of the essence.
And
There- There has been a lot of speculation, though, that those funds will be increased, but who knows with
Yep.
that stuff. But there has been some speculation that it will be increased.
that was mentioned in that Penn State webinar as well, but definitely don't wait for a potential increase. Right now, those funds are first come, first served. So 2-page application should take less than an hour of your time. If you have any questions about it, I'm sure the managed team would be happy to help. Talking to your local lender, talking to any of your tax people would be great. But one of the other big things that they made sure to point out in that Penn State webinar was this is not the time to be nice or necessarily wait for people to get back to you for a long period of time. So push and try to get those things taken care of as quickly as possible.
Just one other thing, I would go to your local lender first from the standpoint, especially if they're SBA approved. A lot of banks are going by the premise right now. They are doing this for current customers first, and then they will expand that because it does affect the liquidity, I guess, of the bank is the way to put it. So if your local bank's not doing it, then start looking around is what I would say. But that the banking side sort of been the hang up with all this. They sort of got this put in their lap and said, here, do it. So I kind of feel sorry for a lot of the lenders out there. They didn't have a lot of time to get this put together. But I did want to mention that, though.
Thanks, David. All right, so with that, I am going to stop sharing my face as well, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to turn it over to Lou.
Okay, thanks, Liz. I like that PowerPoint there slide template, by the way. I need that one. I like that.
I'll send it to you.
Cool. Okay, just wanted to go over just a few things I know Liz had asked me about, kind of covering some biosecurity issues. I think that was a question for most of the producers. How am I going to protect my farm if I do have somebody coming on the farm with coronavirus? And I also want to cover a couple other things. I think I've already sent this out to y'all, but I want to cover it again just to go over it. But first of all, question came in not too long ago from one of the agents, and also I've been seeing it on social media and some other areas have brought up this question about can I give my animals coronavirus, and can I get coronavirus from my animals? And kind of the simple answer is no, you won't. It's very uncommon. Coronavirus occurs in almost all species. It generally tends to be intestinal in animals. I know you've all seen that. We talk about coronavirus in cows and horses. There's also a coronavirus in dogs that causes the same type thing: intestinal, GI, upset, diarrhea, those kind of things. But there is a respiratory form that is there. And I know the whole thing, the whole idea of this is somebody was consuming bats, and that's what started the whole thing. But pretty much no. And I know you also heard about, you've probably heard about I think there were 2 dogs in Asia or Europe or something like that that were tested positive for coronavirus. Those animals did die, but no necropsy was done to prove what caused the death in those animals. And also, you've probably heard about the tigers in New York. I think it was New York Zoo, something like that, that had clinical signs of coronavirus or the respiratory deal. And I thought that was unusual. They wasted a couple of tests on tigers that they could have used on some humans, but they did test positive, and they think it was because one of the zookeepers was positive for coronavirus. From what I understand, those tigers had very mild form of the disease, and on they go. Coronaviruses, they mutate, but it takes a long time for them to mutate. There's a coronavirus for almost every species of animals. This current COVID-19 is very human specific, so it's only causing disease in humans. So the probability of getting it or giving it to an animal is very, very low. The much bigger risk factor, as you know, is going to be getting it from another human. So that's where I've been just recommending to people to follow the CDC guidelines. I'm not going to say that wearing masks are silly. In some cases it may be. I think it's more for if they're, I think actually from what I'm understanding about wearing the mask, that's actually if somebody is having some issues, they need to wear the mask to protect everybody else. I don't know how much wearing a mask is actually protecting us anyway. So those coronaviruses can jump from one to another, but still species to another, but still it's an extremely slow process. Genetic change has to happen. So we're much more likely to be catching it from another person. And so how can these farms, or how can yourselves protect biosecurity, protect their farms against the coronavirus? Pretty much the same way as any other biosecurity measures. I would hope that if that milk truck driver is not feeling well, that they're not going to be out doing their job. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. We got bills to pay. Not everybody has a lot of money stored back, and people got to work to make a living. I suppose that if this farmer really felt like they needed protection, they could ask for that milk truck driver or that sales drug rep or farm rep or whatever's coming on the farm to wear a mask. Also, any other biosecurity measures, the ones that I would recommend for any other sort of biosecurity measures to prevent a disease coming on the farm, the boot covers. I would hope that the milk truck driver wouldn't be tramping out through the pastures, that kind of thing, while they're on a particular farm, that they're only going in the milk room, doing what they got to do in the milk room, and then back in the truck and gone. But certainly boot covers would be one way to help with some biosecurity measures on the farm. Another way would be a boot bath, and that can be extremely simple to make out of a Tupperware and some chlorhexidine or Clorox or anything of that nature. In my opinion, I think chlorhexidine is going to be a much, much, much better boot bath than Clorox. A chlorhexidine tends to hold up much better to organic material as opposed to Clorox. So I recommend a boot bath being made out of chlorhexidine, and that can be refreshed every 2 to 3 days. It's got mixing directions on the bottle. 1 ounce to 1 gallon, 1 minute contact time does a good job of disinfecting. I would recommend measuring out, because while I really, really like chlorhexidine, it can get a little expensive over time. So if you're pouring in too much, you're wasting money. So that kind of thing can be done. Also, if push comes to shove, this would be extremely difficult, because it would take up extra resources to do this, but washing tires on the trucks before they come onto your farm. I know that's done at some poultry houses, those kind of things. where those tires are washed before they come onto the farm. Maybe even that person wears coveralls if they've been to another farm, that kind of thing. Those are other biosecurity measures. Something that I would really recommend is if a producer goes to another farm, and I know it happens all the time, you've got another farmer that needs help. Golly, I'm just down the road. I know how to do things. I'm more than willing to come down there and help you, but now I got to go back to my farm. When you get back to your farm, change those boots out or disinfect your boots, or wear those boot covers while you're at somebody else's farm. Throw them away when you leave their farm. When you get back to your farm, go in the house, change clothes, take a bath. That's low-hanging fruit. That's easy stuff to do. So those are some ways that biosecurity can be practiced. Going farm to farm, like I say, wearing, if you need, the Tyvek coveralls, or coveralls that can be washed, those kind of things, changing clothes, common sense stuff. I'm not talking about anything that you would see as far as an Ebola outbreak, or some of the stuff you might be seeing on TV where they're wheeling these folks in hospitals in these, what looks like a completely covered gurney or something like that. No, nothing super duty like that, but just something, just practice common sense, keeping things clean. That's the cheapest method, the easiest method of biosecurity that there is out there. And especially if buying new animals, and of course I realize we're getting away from COVID there, but still testing those animals before you bring them onto your farm. Just simple biosecurity things like that, and follow CDC guidelines. I see something here on the chat. I'm just going to check the chat box there real quick. Okay, that was from Liz there. And of course, if you have those questions, ask those questions as we're going through this. Don't hesitate to stop me at all. One other thing that I kind of want to bring up. Well, let me stop there. Any questions that you have on COVID, protecting your farm, those kind of things? What questions, especially extension agents, what questions have y'all been getting? I actually got one the other day where, and I had to go look this one up myself. The question was, how long does this coronavirus live inside a hothouse? Evidently these owners had a greenhouse, and they were concerned about people coming in and potentially having the virus, and somebody else following in. So I did a little digging there just to find out kind of how long does this coronavirus live on different objects. And it kind of depends on the object. From what I found, this is really, really similar to what you may have heard me talk about BVD virus in some of the other master beef or master dairy meetings, where I say BVD virus tends to live about 72 hours. Well, that's kind of roughly the same thing with this coronavirus, but it also depends on what type of surface that it lands on. If it's a surface that's non-porous, that it's kind of tabletop, yeah, kind of a 72 hours, but also finding that on some objects, plastic objects, those kind of things, that this virus can actually live up to 5 days. So some things to think about there. Doesn't live very long out in the sunshine. Sunshine hits this, kills the virus pretty fast. What I found as far as about the greenhouse, higher temperatures tends to shorten the lifespan of this virus. So it'd be great if we had some hotter weather, but also humidity humidity tends to increase the length of the lifetime of this virus. So inside that greenhouse, I told them probably ought to count on about five or so days. Yeah, I felt like that was a pretty good general recommendation there. And it would be really tough for them to disinfect those flowers. I guess they could disinfect other surfaces, but that's something else that could be done on the farm. And as far as around the milk house, milk room, maybe disinfecting the handle after the milk truck driver's been there, or if somebody's been off the farm, they come back, those kind of things. Once again, I don't have anything rocket science. It's pretty much the same thing the CDC has been putting out there. So I'll shut up for just a second, see if anybody has any questions on anything or any questions that they've been receiving.
Lou, I've got one from you in the chat. To try to reduce Zoom bombing and anybody saying anything inappropriate to the whole group, all the chats come directly to me. So I will relay to you any questions that go there. We have one that says, if cats, dogs, and tigers are tested positive, shouldn't we be concerned about the possibility of passing on the virus to us, especially from pets?
Okay, that's what I was talking about a while ago. Usually this coronavirus, or the one that we're talking about right now, is extremely human specific. I realize the two tigers tested positive. Those two dogs tested positive. But when you think about all of the human cases that have occurred, and I don't know the number, scads, it's got a bunch of zeros behind the initial number, as opposed to 4 animal cases that have been there. So extremely human specific. So the only thing that CDC is recommending, since we don't know that much about the virus, is that if we are sick, if we're feeling bad or been tested positive or whatever, since we don't know, just get somebody else to tend to your pets. No cases have been reported in horses or cattle or any large animal domestic species. So it would be extremely uncommon, extremely rare for that animal to be passing it to us. Any other questions? Okay, the next thing that I wanted to go over, I've been seeing this on social media quite a bit, and I sent this out to all of the extension agents. The extension agent in Alabama actually sent me this information. He has actually been receiving calls from the general public about seeing a study out of Australia that says you can use ivermectin for treating coronavirus. Could they self-medicate with the animal product that they could run down to mom and pop feed store and buy? First thing I'm going to say is no. Don't know. Bad idea. I realize I made some joking comments back on social media about, well, if that's the case, I'm well protected as much as that stuff as I've gotten on me through the years. But at the same time, I was not self-medicating. That was one of those deals of it was accident, washed it off as fast as possible. That there are ivermectin products that are specifically formulated for humans, but the animal products are not approved. They are not safe for humans. Yes, the ivermectin, like I said, there's ivermectin formulations for humans, but the other products that are in animal products are not approved. They're not safe. That study out of Australia actually was done in vitro. In other words, it was done in a petri dish, or it was done in some sort of cell culture, and they saw some positive results of slowing down the growth of that virus in that in vitro or in that cell culture. there is a big difference between an in vitro study and an in vivo study. In vivo means inside a living organism, like a mouse or a rat or in us. A big difference there. So that does not mean just because it showed some promise in vitro that it would extrapolate across to being safe or will work inside a living organism. Um, of course, the ivermectin product is used for an anthelmintic in animals to kill those or control parasites, internal parasites. And the reason that I want to bring this up is that of course you can see on the label there's warning on the warning, excuse me, on the label it says warning, not safe for use in humans, just because of those other products. And the big reason I wanted to bring that up is if you as a producer or you as extension agent get that call or get that question, please by all means say no. But there's another reason I want to bring this up. A few years back, some farmers' barns were broken into, or they weren't necessarily locked. They just literally went in and stole drugs from them. And these people that stole these drugs were stealing Ludilice to inject themselves for birth control. Bad idea. And this is the same kind of thing here. And oxytocin is also being stolen off from farms. And of course they're getting that mixed up with Oxycontin. They thought they were stealing a medication that they could get a high off from. So I bring that up to maybe, mention that to producers, or if you're a producer yourself, you may want to consider putting that medication in an area where kids can't get to that, whether that be somebody coming onto your farm or your own children, getting into those kind of things, getting it on themselves or trying it themselves. So you may want to consider taking those medications, putting them in an area that's in a safe place under lock and key where it can't be stolen off the farm, those kind of things, or even a farm worker that may, inadvertently see that and go, oh, hey, I saw that on social media. It's on the internet. It must be true. So maybe, safeguarding those kind of things. I know there's several things that, okay, let me back up just a second. We have to, as veterinarians with our medications, we have to keep certain medications under lock and key. That's required of us. Well, as some of these stories of people stealing these medications, which would normally be an over-the-counter medication to make meth, or in the case of this, or in the case of oxytocin, or now the case of this ivermectin, this kind of things, we had to start keeping things under lockbox that we normally wouldn't have to keep under lock and key just because of these type things going on. So this may be something that you want to keep in mind, keeping it in a safe place on the farm. And so the best, just to kind of back up, the best way to fight COVID is to follow the CDC guidelines. Washing hands, just being common sense. Okay, that's pretty much all I have as far as what I wanted to go over, how to protect the farm. Like I say, this is just straight up common sense biosecurity, keeping it clean, paying attention to doing common things uncommonly good.
I've got
Washing
a
hands,
question
changing
for you.
clothes, washing boots, just paying attention.
Sorry about that, Lou. We've got a question. Have you or anyone else heard of any dairies having cases of COVID in Tennessee? I personally have not heard of any of our dairy farms having a case of COVID or any of their employees.
I have not either. As a matter of fact, the only cases that I've heard of are in more populated areas, not necessarily in the rural areas where some of these dairy farms may be located. But then again, I'm not extremely familiar where all of the dairies are. I know that Williamson County, Nashville area, of course, they've got a lot of cases, but I don't know specifically where a lot of these dairies are. Liz, you probably got a lot better idea than I do.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple around some of those major city centers, but as long as you're not trying really to mingle in places like Chattanooga or Knoxville or Nashville or Memphis, that's where most of our issues have been. And
Correct.
hopefully these stay-at-home orders are helping decrease the spread to some of our rural areas. Some things that might help as far as biosecurity off of the farm would be only sending one person in to do grocery shopping at a time. I realize it's a lot of bags for you to juggle coming out of the store,
Yeah.
but only try to send one person to some place that maybe has a lot of foot traffic. Another thing would be, if you have the option, this would be more if you're shopping in a place like Knoxville, Nashville, Chattanooga, if that's the closest Kroger or Food Lion or Walmart, if any of those places have an option to do self-checkout or even using an app on your phone, there's something called Scan Bag and Go that you can use at Kroger. You download that onto your own phone. So your phone becomes the scanner, and your phone also becomes the payment method. So it really limits the amount of things you'd be touching that other people would handle in a store. So that could be an option. Even if you're going to the feed store or the co-op, try to limit it to one person going in. If you can do online orders and pick it up curbside to limit exposure even more, that might also help.
Y'all can tell me better than I know. I have little reason to go to a co-op any longer, but my cousin in Alabama was telling me the other day, he had just called me. This is kind of the funny part of the story. He said he heard you're supposed to call and check on old people, and he said the first person he thought of was me. So so he called me, and that's what he said, that at the co-op that he uses, that literally you back up to the dock and they load and you leave. So is that what some of the co-ops are doing around here? I mean, I don't know. Like I say, I haven't had reason to go to one. Is that what's happening at co-op here?
That's what they should be doing. I had a come to Jesus talk with one of my farm stores here a day or two ago, because they acted like it didn't even exist. There was no social distancing. So I think it depends on where it is and how serious they are about it.
Wow. Okay.
And the co-op in Jefferson County, they're limiting the number of people that go in. One goes in, one comes out. They're also spraying your hands before you go in, and they have got only 2 cash registers going to where you are 6 feet apart.
Good.
They're being stricter than the grocery stores.
Bedford Co-op is preferring that you call in your orders and they'll meet you at the dock with it, unless it's something from inside the store or second guess or second thought about products. But when you go in, you follow a route through the store, and you keep your distance. They're trying the best they can do.
Yeah.
And I've got another little store that's got a barrier across the door, and you literally talk to the lady at the cash register through the open door.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How cold it is, the wind blowing, but they won't let you in the store.
Hey, Lou, I had somebody come in and clean me out about 4 weeks ago with the milk barn. They took all my little ice, everything,
Oh my.
all my fringes. They cleaned me out.
Oh my.
Yeah,
You've been in the barn, so.
that scenario's real. He's not making that one up. You need to lock your stuff up.
So there it is. So there it is. Now it's hit home. I heard about that happening in in Wisconsin, I think is where it happened, where where a dairy farmer got cleaned out. They came in, cleaned all their medications out. They were stealing Lutalize, oxytocin, whatever you get their hands on. So there we are. It hits home. So this is real. That's not just a made up. So you can take that to the bank. Take stock in it. It is happening. Protect yourself. Protect your investment. Put your medications. Doggone if you have to, take them in the house and lock them up. That's just, it's crazy.
Lou, do you have any tips on what we should do to try to help protect our employees and increase biosecurity in between workers on the farm?
The same exact thing. If possible, the same type CDC guidelines. I know that they're wearing gloves. Try to distance yourself as much as possible. I was on call this past weekend in the vet school and had to go in and treat several cases this past weekend. And we were all trying our best, but sometimes you can't do that. You're gracious, you're working on an animal, and well, doggone, I can't social distance myself when I'm working on an animal and I need help and somebody has to come in close to me. But as much as possible, like I said, if y'all can read into this what you want to, what I'm understanding, for those that are wearing masks, that makes you feel better, wear a mask. But from what I'm understanding, the mask wearing actually is more for if you feel bad, you wear a mask so you're not spreading to someone else. Wearing a mask yourself just to protect yourself from the virus. I don't know how much stock you can take into that, just from what I'm reading from the reliable sources on that. But if it makes you feel better, wear a mask, wear gloves. Try your best not to get too close to that individual, but I understand if you've got a worker in the barn, or two workers in the barn, and you got a pit. Well, doggone, it's kind of hard to stay 6 foot apart all the time. But maybe if it's just a short amount of time as possible, those kind of things, like say, wearing gloves, washing hands. If they do go out somewhere, try to. I liked your recommendation, Liz. Designate that one person that's going to go to the co-op. You're the one that goes to the co-op, not 5 or 6 people are going to the co-op to do everything and come back. Just that one person, those kind of things. I think that would be the best to protect everybody on the farm, and protecting each other as you're on the farm working. Just try to do the best you can. The fact that you're outside, sunshine and those kind of things, that greatly helps with to limit the spread of the virus.
I know some other suggestions for employees, but pretty much in line what Lou had said earlier. So suggest that when either you go home or your employees go home, to take off those clothes and wash them immediately. Don't do what most of us do, which is let it pile up till there's enough to really run a load. Take a shower right after you get home, just to decrease sharing it to someone else, because you've already been exposed, right? But the last thing we want to do is take anything home to our families or have employees take it home to their families. So if they can wash clothes as soon as they get home, take a shower as soon as they get home, maybe we can decrease that risk a little bit.
And that's really awesome if there's a place on your farm that worker could shower and change clothes there, but I realize that's not always available. Something that could be done, like we talked about a while ago, Tyvek suit. If they want to wear that Tyvek suit there on the farm and then leave it there, just to maybe protect their clothing, but still, I do exactly what Liz just said. Quick as I got home, that goes directly into a washing machine, washes it. I take a shower. Those kind of things. Like I said, common sense. Nothing rocket science.
Yeah. Other small things would be any bathrooms that you have on the farm for your employees or for you, try to make sure those are stocked with soap, paper towels, or regular towels that can be washed routinely. I realize that's one more thing to think about, one more thing to manage. But even if it's just providing some cleaning supplies so your employees can clean the bathroom routinely and have access to those things, that can help limit that as well.
Sure would. And I think this is more of between human to human. I just do not, I've not seen enough yet to convince me that us passing it to our animals and then back to us is going to be a factor. Anything else? Any other questions, comments, things you've seen? Well, I'm certainly, I mean, just like I just heard, somebody's already been broken to on their place and stuff stolen. Anything else that anybody would like to participate or make comments on as far as any of this goes? I'm certainly welcome. I would like to hear it, just because the more we can, let others know that, boy, this is something that's happening here. Oh no, it's not just in New York, or it's not just in Wisconsin or somewhere else. Good gracious, it's hitting home here.
We just got a really great comment in the chat, Lou, that says they agree with the soap and paper towels. Also make sure that the hand washing sinks and other areas don't become or haven't become a catch-all for clutter and are equipped with soap and paper towels.
Yeah. I haven't even looked. Can you even, and in my opinion, soap and water and just cleaning your hands is great. Hand cleaner, hand antiseptic. Can you even get it anymore? I haven't even looked here lately.
I don't know. I heard an interesting concoction that's been sweeping the internet is aloe vera mixed with Everclear. So,
Okay.
break out the spring break drinks and go to town. How well that would work, I don't know, but that's something that's been making the rounds. I mean, Everclear kills pretty much anything, so maybe it'll sanitize your hands.
Yeah, it would. I don't know how many dairies are doing anything to do with housing people, but I've got a couple of large vegetable growers that have really had to do some major work on housing people, separating people and that kind of thing with all this going on, riding not 20 piled in the back of one truck and all like they've been doing. So yeah. It's a big adjustment.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else? Glad to hear it. Any other questions? Well, Liz, that's all I have. If there's no other questions, of course, anybody's always welcome to email me, contact me with questions. If I'm not back to you within a day, because I'm pulled in quite several different directions and I'm getting a lot of emails here lately. So if I don't answer you back within a day, please get back. Oh, let me say this one again, or not again, but let me just tell you this one. I typically have my office phone forwarded to my cell phone, and they have taken that away from, or the university has canceled that service right now so they can direct stuff to other. So if you need me, this doesn't bother me at all. Please call my cell phone, 865-414-0709. That doesn't bother me at all if you call me on my cell phone, because if you call my office phone, you're calling my cell phone anyway. And that makes life a lot easier, because then I don't have to bother with going and checking to see if there's messages there, and you're able to make direct contact with me.
I would like to echo that. I also had my office phone forwarded directly to my cell phone, but that is no longer available for me either. I tend to stick my cell phone on everything, but if any of y'all need that, it is 337-718-9764. And it's that weird Louisiana number, so no, it's right. It's mine. And if any of y'all prefer texting instead of calling, that's fine too.
That's fine on me too. Texting.
We got another question, Lou. It says, what are you all hearing on getting tested? It's still hard to get tested here, and that's going to be in the general Athens area. I think they're still slowly rolling out the tests that they do have. Pardon my dog barking in the background. It's the hazards of working at home. I think urgent cares have been a good place to call and see if they have any COVID tests.
I have no idea. I really don't. I don't understand. I don't understand anything about the testing. I don't know who has it. I keep hearing we don't have enough tests, and I don't know, or tests are coming. I really don't know. So I guess that would be a health department question or your personal physician question. I don't know how willing they are. I don't know if they're going to test you if you just say, I want to be tested, or if you have to be showing clinical signs. I've actually heard, and once again, you can hear anything, but I've actually heard if you're showing signs and you test negative for flu, they're just going to go ahead and assume you got it. I don't know. That's just what I've heard. I don't know if there's anything to that or not.
Yeah, so personal physician, I think urgent cares are always a good place to call because they tend to be a little bit less crowded than the emergency room. And
Yeah, doc in the box.
Their finger on the pulse. We got a comment in the chat. The latest from Bill Lee's office is that unless you're in the home with someone immunocompromised, even if you show all the symptoms, they may not test you. So it sounds like it's a bit of a first come, first serve. If you're in the McMinn County area, the McMinn County Health Department, that came out really weird, sorry. The McMinn County Health Department, that sounded better, is testing this week from 9 a.m. to noon, no doctor order needed.
Okay,
so
wow.
If you are concerned about your household or any of your employees, sounds like that would be a good place to head if you're in that general area. We're going to wait for a few more questions, and while we do, just some follow-up housekeeping. If you joined the meeting late and you would like to go back and hear what you missed earlier, I will be posting this probably in an hour or two on our UT Dairy website. So all you have to do is Google UT Dairy, and we are one of the first things that pop up. And one of the tabs across the top is Master Dairy. So if you click there, follow that tab down, we're going to post all of the recordings of these meetings there for Master Dairy credit. If you attended today and you would like Master Dairy credit or in-service credit, please go to that form that I added in the chat and then I said earlier. It is http:// the word tiny, TINY, .utk.edu/TMDP _, and the word form, FORM. And that just lets me know that you were here, and I'll get y'all entered into my database. And we need 3 of these to equal 1 in-person Master Dairy meeting. Agents, it's an hour of in-service credit for y'all.
Can you say that again or email it to me?
Yep. Yes, sir, I can. Can you remind me of your email? You can just send it to me in the chat, Keith, so you don't have to tell everybody.
Okay. It's in the chat.
Oh, perfect. And I will say it out loud one more time, and I'm gonna share my screen so y'all can see it if you would like to write it down. Share, okay. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so it's this link right here, http:// tiny.utk.edu/tmdp_ and then form, FORM. And if any of you are going back and watching the recordings from this meeting or any future meetings, you just have to fill out that same form. It's at that exact same link. Just tell me which one you watched, and we'll get you added for those as well.
Liz, there has been one little good piece of good news, which I think we could all use in this day and time. I was talking to Molly Samansky at Dairy Alliance last week, and Mayfield has some extra product, and they wanted to donate it to a food bank, which they did, and it went to Chattanooga, and hopefully it got there before the tornadoes hit. But that was a good place for some of our products to go to, and I thank Mayfield for that.
Awesome. I did see something else today kind of on that same line. I don't know how many of you are aware of or follow Dairy Carey on social media, but she has posted a challenge to her blog, and there's 2 separate links. One is for anyone donating money for dairy products to go to food banks. They've been hit pretty hard by not having places to send their milk to since they're so focused on cheese and food service. So the money is going to provide string cheese, cheese, and milk to food banks, I think up there and then around the country. And the next link is for anyone who would like to donate vegan protein products. And the whole idea is a friendly competition between pro-dairy and pro-vegan to see who's going to send the most money their way. So if that's something that interests you, look up Dairy Carey and follow that link and participate. We also have a couple of different COVID resources. For those of you who didn't join in last week, we were talking about alternatives for dumping milk, including feeding it to calves, feeding it as part of the ration, or land applying it as fertilizer. I'll send out an updated link to that publication today. I've also done one as kind of a broad overview of the impacts that we've had on our supply chain, dairy specifically, from COVID-19, and as well as all the resources that we have and that we've collected from other people about COVID-19. And I'll send that one out today as well. We have all of that also on our UT Dairy website. If you go to our Market Outlook page, all of the resources that we have, links to things like the Paycheck Protection Program, the application is there, links to publications that UT has done, that Penn State has done, and the webinar that was hosted last week. As soon as that is live from Penn State, that will be there also. I think that's all for me. Lou, you have any follow-up, final thoughts?
That's all. Once again, I can't say it enough. Practice common sense. The take-home message is you're going to get COVID from another person. You're not going to spread it to your animal or get it from your animal. So that's kind of the take-home point.
If any of you have Spanish-speaking employees and you would like them to have the opportunity to learn a little bit more about COVID-19, how that virus works and how they can protect themselves, Jorge Delgado is going to be hosting our last meeting of April. So that's going to be April 29th, I believe, at the same time, 12 p.m. Eastern. And he's going to be hosting that webinar in Spanish. So any Spanish-speaking employees you have that you would like them to attend, please make that available for them. He's going to do a brief overview and then open it for a question and answer session. And that can also count as a Master Dairy credit for your farm. Just let me know that your employee went to it and we'll be good. Questions, comments, cries of outrage, chats of outrage. All right, well, thank you all for joining, and we hope this has been helpful and hope to see you next Wednesday.
All righty. Thanks for letting me join today, Liz. And like I said, anybody has questions, you know where to find me.
Thanks, Lou.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all.